Bro, when I first met Michael Jordan, he's my favorite player ever. When I first met Michael Jordan, he didn't look real. He's right here where you are, and I'm looking at him, and it looks like there's white smoke around him, like the Chappelle Show. Like when he had Prince come out when he's coming off the rim. Like, bro, I'm like, this is Michael Jordan. He was born February 17, 1963. He has a brother named Larry. His mom's named Dolores. Dad's name's James. His favorite Gatorade citrus cooler. Like I used to have the snap away, the snap away bull sweatsuit.
Wow.
Like, bro, this is Michael Jordan. This is, man, I mean, I can name a million different things about him. This is the guy that cut the slit in his shoe when his toe was hurt in the 91 finals. I could tell you everything about this dude, and I'm right in front of him. And this dude inspired me a million miles away. Not literally a million, but it felt like it.
That's your GOAT, right? No question.
Michael Jordan's so great that he helped give us some other greats. Like Kobe and LeBron, they all admitted they looked up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he wears 23 because of MJ.
Michael's so great that, you know, when somebody else is great in something, they say he's the Michael Jordan of this.
Yeah,
like,
right.
But everybody has a case. I get it. Like, especially if I'm born now, I'm saying LeBron. If I was born before, I'm saying Kobe. Like, I get it. But me,
you played against both, though.
All three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael.
Damn, you got to play against all three, man.
He never.
Jesus.
He never, and I'm not saying anything about anybody else, I'm talking just specifically about him. He never let you down. The highest moments, he never let you down. And he played both ends, and he was gonna find a way. Like, even when we talk about the 98 team, and they won Last Dance, we all saw it, he was 35. He was 35.
He was 35.
He was 35. Pippen missed a lot of the season. Robin's still going on vacation. They still won 60 games and still won the championship. He's a machine. And it's not to knock anybody else, because I think Kobe is that for some, and LeBron is, and Hakeem, there's other greats. But that dude is just, Dame said it, 75. When all the greatest of the greats were there, when he walked in, it was something different.
Yeah. Even Wade touched on that. They said he walked in and the whole room shifted. It
shifted.
That dude's here.
He turns everybody into that kid.
When I bring up the conversation to my father, who's the greatest of all time, he just starts laughing.
He laughs?
Oh, he's like, it's not even he's like, Austin, you guys don't understand. He's like, it's not even a question.
This dude is like, could you imagine somebody who was as ferocious as Kobe, who jumped like LeBron, who played defense like Tony Allen, this is all in one.
Yeah, all in one, man.
Like, this dude's just.
There are moments in life that never leave us because they break past the limits of reality. For Jamal Crawford, one of the NBA's true basketball magicians, that moment came the first time he stood face to face with Michael Jordan, the greatest idol of his childhood, the man who had driven him to pick up a ball in the first place. Crawford recalls, his voice still trembling as if the memory was alive within him. He didn't look real. He was right in front of me, but it felt like an illusion, like a character stepping out of mythology. There was white smoke around him like that Chappelle Show skit, when Prince walks in surrounded by a glow. I was staring like, that's Michael Jordan. Imagine that feeling. For years, like every kid in America, Jamal lived in a world Jordan ruled. He memorized details that most would dismiss as trivial. His birthday, the 17th of February 1963. His parents' names, James and Dolores. His brother, Larry. Even his favorite Gatorade flavor, citrus cooler. He remembered the finals in 1991, when Jordan cut his shoe to play through a toe injury. These weren't just random facts to a young Jamal, they were pages from basketball scripture, every line written in Jordan's name. And now, all that he had studied like a sacred prayer stood before him in the flesh. Yet paradoxically, seeing Jordan in person only made him feel otherworldly. A man, yes, but a man radiating energy so powerful that it altered the room itself. Jordan didn't just walk into spaces, he changed them. The air grew heavier. The light shifted. Hearts skipped. The world blurred, and only he remained in focus. Crawford said, "He inspired me from a million miles away, and now here he was, standing right in front of me. That is the truth of a generation." Jordan wasn't merely an athlete. He was a cultural phenomenon, a gravitational force that pulled every eye, every heart, every dream into his orbit. In that moment, Jamal Crawford understood. GOAT is not a debate. It's not sterile numbers or statistical tables. GOAT is an experience. It's the overwhelming helplessness of standing before a man whose greatness is beyond the reach of language. GOAT is when the hero you worshipped on TV steps into real life and you realize He actually exists, and his name, Michael Jordan, is the very definition of that existence. From distant idol to flesh and blood, for most fans, their heroes remain trapped in distance. They live on posters pinned above childhood beds, flickering across television screens late at night, or immortalized in the glossy pages of a magazine. They are untouchable silhouettes, admired from afar but never expected to step into reality. But for Jamal Crawford, Michael Jordan was not just a figure on a wall. He was an obsession, a presence that filled every corner of his imagination. Crawford didn't simply watch Jordan, he studied him. He memorized his biography the way others memorize sacred scripture. He could tell you the day and year Jordan was born, the 17th of February, 1963. He could list his parents, James and Dolores, as if reciting lineage. He knew about Jordan's brother Larry. He even remembered Jordan's favorite Gatorade flavor, Citrus Cooler, as though it carried secret meaning. And of course, he knew the little stories, the kind that cement devotion. Like in the 1991 NBA Finals, when Jordan cut a slit in his shoe to play through a mangled toe, Jamal carried those stories in his heart, not as trivia, but as testimony. To him, they were evidence of a godlike will, the kind of details that transform admiration into worship. So when the day finally came, the day Jamal Crawford stood before Michael Jordan, the shock was not that he was real, but that reality did not shrink him. Seeing most idols in person dissolves their mystique. The image cracks. The human flaws bleed through. But with Jordan, it was the opposite. Seeing him in the flesh only magnified the legend. Crawford described it as standing before a man who had walked out of his imagination and confirmed everything he had ever believed. "This is the man who inspired me from a million miles away," Jamal said. And in that instant, the distance of geography and time collapsed. The boy from Seattle who grew up tracing Jordan's every move now stood in the same room, breathing the same air, and instead of being disappointed, he was overwhelmed. That is the essence of aura. Jordan didn't diminish under the microscope of reality. He intensified. His presence was proof that greatness can be both human and divine, real and impossible at the same time. For Jamal Crawford, meeting Jordan was not just about shaking hands with a hero. It was about confronting the evidence of a lifetime's faith. It was like meeting the very embodiment of every dream he had ever dared to dream, every sacrifice he had ever made, every shot he had ever practiced in the dark. Michael Jordan wasn't just an idol to him, he was proof. Proof that greatness could exist in its purest form. Proof that it could inspire from across oceans and across decades. Proof that a kid holding a ball in a Seattle playground could reach the NBA carrying nothing but belief and obsession. And in that moment, Jordan gave Jamal more than awe. He gave him confirmation. The myth was real, and the dream was possible. The source of a new generation. Greatness doesn't just dominate, it reproduces. It plants seeds in the soil of the next generation and forces them to grow taller, fiercer, hungrier. Michael Jordan was not only the measure of basketball excellence, he became the blueprint, the spark, the origin point of those who would come after. Jamal Crawford said it plainly. Michael Jordan's so great that he helped give us other greats like Kobe and LeBron. That is the essence of his impact. He wasn't simply a player to be admired, he was a force so powerful that even the brightest stars of the future admitted they lived in his shadow. Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, took 24 as his number, but he first wore 8 as a direct doubling of 23. He studied Jordan obsessively, frame by frame, like a disciple decoding scripture. Every pivot, every fadeaway, every mid-air adjustment, Kobe mirrored them until his own legend was born. Yet even Kobe admitted it. Without Michael, there is no Kobe. LeBron James, the chosen one, carried 23 on his back, not by accident, but by design. He called Jordan his inspiration, the model for everything he hoped to achieve. And though LeBron's body and style were different, his pursuit of Jordan's standard became his lifelong quest. The comparison was inevitable, because the target was undeniable. This is the proof of aura, when your shadow alone is big enough to raise dynasties. Jordan's greatness didn't end with him. It multiplied. Every kid who came after Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Dwyane Wade, Damian Lillard, they all touched that fire in one way or another. They grew up with the same poster on the wall, the same commercials playing on TV, the same whispered belief, be like Mike. And yet, as Jamal Crawford reminds us, none of them could quite capture it. Because aura cannot be replicated, skill can be studied, Moves can be imitated. Championships can be chased. But the intangible, the glow that shifted entire rooms, the fear that froze, defenders before the ball even tipped, that belonged only to Michael. Crawford laughed when asked about the GOAT debate. When I bring it up with my father, he just laughs. He says, it's not even a question. That laugh is the sound of certainty. The sound of generations agreeing without words. Jordan was not just his own greatness. He was the source of greatness for others. He was the river from which Kobe and LeBron drank. He was the wellspring that refreshed every dreamer who picked up a ball. And when the greatest of the greats walked into a room at the NBA's 75th anniversary celebration, Dwyane Wade, Damian Lillard, and dozens of all-time legends all said the same thing. The room shifted. The air changed. Everyone turned into kids again, staring at the man who was both their idol and their origin. That is the measure of Michael Jordan. He is not only the summit of basketball, he is the mountain from which every other peak rises. Never let you down. There are great players who dazzle you with brilliance, but sometimes falter when the weight of the world presses down. And then there was Michael Jordan, a man who never let you down. Jamal Crawford, who idolized him from afar and then stood in awe of him up close, said it without hesitation. In the highest moments, he never let you down. That was the difference. When the stakes rose, when everything seemed impossible, Jordan became inevitable. He didn't just play basketball, he bent reality to his will. Take 1998, the year of the last dance. Jordan was 35. Scottie Pippen, his running mate, missed nearly half the season with injury. Dennis Rodman, the defensive genius, was unraveling, disappearing mid-season for Vegas escapes and WWE antics. The Bulls were aging, fraying, running on fumes. By every rational measure, they were done. But Michael Jordan was not rational. He was supernatural. That year, he carried them to 60 wins. That year, he dragged them back to the finals. That year, with his team battered and the dynasty's end looming, he put it all on his shoulders and delivered championship number 6. The last shot against Utah wasn't just a basket, it was a statement. Even in decline, even at the end, even when the odds screamed no, Jordan still said yes. This is why Crawford calls him a machine. Because when you thought he would break, he broke you instead. When you thought the story was finished, he wrote another chapter. When you thought he couldn't possibly rise again, he rose higher. And this wasn't a one-time miracle. This was his career. The 63 points against Boston as a second-year player, staring down Larry Bird's Celtics. The 6 three-pointers in one half against Portland after being told Drexler was the better shooter. The flu game in 1997, when he collapsed into Pippen's arms after scoring 38 with a body on fire. Time after time, moment after moment, Jordan stood in the storm and never let his believers down. That is why Jamal Crawford speaks with such reverence. Because to him, Jordan was not just a star, he was a promise that when everything was on the line, when millions held their breath, when hope seemed ready to die, Michael Jordan would always find a way. Greatness can be debated in numbers, in rings, in statistics, but reliability in the highest moments, under the brightest lights, that cannot be faked. That is why Jordan stands alone. He was more than a champion. He was certainty itself. Michael Jordan was inevitability, the man who changed the room. Some men enter a room and command attention. Michael Jordan entered a room and changed its chemistry. Jamal Crawford, Damian Lillard, Dwyane Wade, all men who stood tall in their own eras, spoke of the same phenomenon. When Jordan walked in, the atmosphere bent. The conversations paused. Grown men legends in their own right suddenly felt like children again, craning their necks just to catch a glimpse. Crawford remembered it vividly. When he walked in, the whole room shifted. Think about that. This wasn't during his playing days, when his dominance was measured in dunks and daggers. This was decades later, at gatherings where greatness was everywhere. Hall of Famers lined the walls, MVPs mingled like ordinary men, Olympic champions swapped stories, and yet when Michael Jordan entered, even among the giants, he remained the giant of giants. Dwyane Wade confessed it openly. He said Jordan's arrival made everyone revert back to childhood, back to the kid with posters taped on bedroom walls, watching number 23 defy gravity. Damian Lillard echoed the same. Even the best of the best, the fiercest competitors alive, couldn't deny the shift in the air. It wasn't about numbers. It wasn't about rings. It wasn't about statistics recited like gospel. It was something intangible, something mystical aura, the thing Kevin Garnett once described as like looking into the Sunday, the thing Jamal Crawford described as white smoke surrounding him, the thing Wade and Lillard described as the room itself changing shape. This is the part of Jordan that can never be charted or copied. Skills can be studied. Fadeaways can be mimicked. Work ethic can be imitated. But aura cannot be taught. Aura is born of destiny, forged in fire, consecrated by victory after victory until it becomes more than human. And that is why Michael Jordan's greatness endures. Because he wasn't just a player who dominated opponents, he was a presence that dominated space itself. He didn't just control games, he controlled rooms. He didn't just shift momentum, he shifted reality. When Michael Jordan entered, the universe seemed to announce, the standard has arrived, all in one. At some point, every comparison collapses. Because while other legends embodied pieces of greatness, Michael Jordan embodied all of it. Jamal Crawford said it in the simplest, sharpest way. Could you imagine somebody as ferocious as Kobe, who jumped like LeBron, who played defense like Tony Allen? All in one? That's Michael Jordan. Ferocity, athleticism, defense, skill, leadership, killer instinct. These traits are usually scattered across different players, spread out like fragments of divinity across generations. Kobe took the relentless fire. LeBron carried the body built for flight. Tony Allen embodied the grit of lockdown defense. Others had singular gifts, magic in passing, elegance in shooting, brute power in the paint, but only Jordan was the complete constellation. Only Jordan held every weapon at once. He was Kobe's ruthlessness, but sharper. He was LeBron's explosiveness, but more refined. He was Allen's suffocating defense, but with hands so massive he could pluck the ball away like it was an apple. And then he added the artistry fadeaways painted in the air like brushstrokes, hang time that seemed to mock gravity, clutch shots that carved despair into the hearts of opponents. Jordan wasn't just versatile, he was inevitable. No matter what you threw at him, double teams, triple teams, Jordan rules. He had an answer. He was the storm and the silence, the weapon and the shield, the nightmare and the dream. That's why, when the greatest of the greats gather, even they step back when he enters. Because they know. They each carried one piece of the flame. Michael Jordan carried the whole fire. And that is the final truth Jamal Crawford left us with. The GOAT debate isn't about picking preferences. It's about recognizing reality. Jordan is the rarest of phenomena, the sum of every quality the game has ever admired, compressed into a single body, a single number, a single man. Michael Jordan wasn't like anyone else. Michael Jordan was everyone else and then more, all in one.